Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Quote of the day: train your mind to see the good in every situation. Today, the topic of my presentation is population dynamics and demographic transition, and I am presenting it under kind supervision of my professor, Dr. Sarah Afzal. Learning outlines of my presentation are population dynamics, components of population dynamics, population growth, factors affecting population size, demographic transition, stages of demographic transition, epidemiologic transition, recent updates, and in the last MCQs. Learning objectives. In the end of presentation, participants would be able to describe components of population dynamics, calculation of population change, and stages of demographic transition. Now, what is population dynamics or change? It is an increase or decrease in population over time. It is a useful measure for understanding growth patterns and trends to interpolate in population growth behavior between 2 points of time and to project and extrapolate for future time. It could be in absolute terms or percentage of mid-period population conventionally measured per year known as growth rate. Now, populations change in size, density, dispersion, and age structure. Now, what is population density? It is an average number of individuals per unit of area or volume. Population dispersion refers to how individuals of a population are spaced within a region. An age structure of a population is usually described as the pre-reproductive stage, the reproductive stage, and the post-reproductive stage. A population with a large reproductive stage is likely to increase, while a population with a large post-reproductive stage is likely to decrease. Now, demographic equation. The dynamics, population dynamics or change is easily understood with the help of this equation, in which this is PT1, that is future population, calculated from present population. This PT naught shows the present population. And B is number of live births to mothers living in the area, while D is number of residents died, and IM denotes number of persons moving into the area for permanent residence, which is called in-migration, and OM denotes number of persons moving out of the area to live elsewhere, that is out-migration. So the population of an area may change due to natural reasons, that is B minus D, birth minus death, known as natural increase, or due to migration, that is in-migration minus out-migration, known as net migration. So population growth is actually natural increase plus net migration. Now, what is natural increase? It is the surplus or deficit of births over deaths in a population in a given time period. Rate of natural increase. It is the rate at which a population is increasing or decreasing in a given year due to surplus or deficit of births over deaths, expressed as percentage of the base population. And the thing to remember is that it does not include the effects of immigration or emigration. Now, what is growth rate? It is the rate at which a population is increasing or decreasing in a given year due to natural increase and net migration, expressed as a percentage of base population. It takes into account all components of population growth, that is birth, deaths, and migration. Now, this is another equation to calculate the future population, that is PT1, which represents future population, is equals to present population, and this 1 plus R. R is growth rate per person, and it is taken as divided by 100, because growth rate are usually in percentages, and T is number of years between T naught and T1. Now coming to the example. For example, calculate future population of a town A in 2025, whose current population in 2021 is 1000, with growth rate of 0.2% annually. So here T is 4, that is we want to calculate current population after 4 years, that is in 2025. So here T would be 4, and growth rate is 0.2%, that is taken here as 0.2 plus 1, and PT naught is current population. So putting all the values in the equation, we would get 2073. That is, future population of a town A in 2025 would be 2073. So components of a population change, as we have already seen that there are four components: births, deaths, emigrants, and immigrants. The two components, that is immigrants and births, they increase the population. And the emigrants, that is the people out of going out of the territory, emigrants, and the deaths, these two parameters, they decrease the population. Now, population size. They are the two factors that affect the population size. These are biotic potential, and the second one is environmental resistance. Biotic potential, it refers to the ability of a population of a particular species to propagate under ideal environmental conditions like sufficient food supply, no disease, and no predators. While environmental resistance are factors that limit the biotic potential of an organism, and both includes abiotic and biotic factors. And here we can see the examples of biotic potential like favorable light, favorable temperature, chemical environment, while biotic is high reproductive rate, generalized nick, adequate food supply, suitable habitat, and the factors that decrease the population size, that is environmental resistance. It includes too little light, temperature may be high or too low, or biotic factors include low reproductive rate, specialized make, inadequate food supply. No. Types of population growth. Basically, there are two types of population growth: exponential growth, and then comes logistic growth. In exponential growth, there is unlimited growth of a population, and it occurs when population has food, space, protection from predation or disease, removal of waste products. And in this future generation, each future generation would grow faster than the last. For example, in bacteria population, as we can see that there is abrupt growth of the population. This is called exponential growth. While the second one is logistic growth. In this, population grows, then slows, and eventually reaches carrying capacity. And so it consists of three phases. In first phase, there is exponential growth, as we have already discussed. Then comes the second phase, in which the growth slows down, and it is due to decreased birth rate, increase in death rate, and decrease in immigration, and increase in emigration. And the third phase is that population stabilizes and reaches the carrying capacity. So here is the graph showing both types of the growth, population growth. First is exponential growth, and this growth is due to biotic potential, that is all those factors that favor the growth of the population. Then comes the point when growth decreases and the population growth stabilizes due to the environmental resistance. And environmental resistance, we have already discussed, that includes all the factors that decreases the population growth. So this straight line denotes the carrying capacity. Now let's discuss what is carrying capacity. It is defined as maximum population size that a particular environment can support over time. This dotted line shows the carrying capacity, and it results from the interaction between biotic potential and environmental resistance. As we have already discussed, these two main factors that affect the population size. Now coming to the second topic of my presentation, that is demographic transition. What is demographic transition? It is a phenomenon and theory which refers to the historical shift from high birth rates and high death rates in societies with minimum technology, education, and economic development to low birth rates and low death rates societies with advanced technology, education, and economic development, as well as the stages between these two scenarios. Now, there are 5 stages of this demographic transition model. First stage is pre-transitional or pre-industrial stage. In this, both birth rates and death rates were high, and high birth rates are due to the non-existence of family planning and contraception. High death rates due to poor diet, famine, diseases like epidemic influenza, smallpox, and cholera, and due to absence of modern diagnostic and medical facilities. The majority of deaths are concentrated in the first 5 to 10 years of life. Then coming to the stage two, this is called early transitional. This stage leads to fall in death rates and increase in population. The decline in death rate is due to initially two factors. Firstly, improvements in the food supply brought about by higher yields in agricultural practices and better transportation, reduced death due to starvation and lack of water. Second is significant improvements in public health, reducing mortality and particularly of childhood. And due to improvements in water supply, sewerage, food handling, personal hygiene, falling from growing scientific knowledge of the causes of disease, and improved education and social status of mothers. And without a corresponding fall in birth rates, this produces an imbalance, and the countries in this stage experience a population explosion. So the main feature to remember in stage two is that we can also experience population explosion. And another characteristic feature of this stage is a change in the age structure of the population. Because the decline in death entails the increasing survival of children and a growing population, the age structure of the population becomes increasingly youthful. The bottom of the age pyramid widens first, where children, teenagers, and infants are here, accelerating population growth. Now, what are the countries that are in stage two? These are Yemen, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and much of sub-Saharan Africa. Stage 3. This is called mid-transitional stage, and it moved the population towards stability. Birth rate starts declining, eventually catching up with the death rate. This is due to increased awareness and access to contraception methods and improvement in contraception technology. However, population growth remained relatively high, which is helpful for underpopulated nations as they needed more manpower, expanding markets, and greater military potential. And characteristic feature of stage 3 is high proportion of young population, that is implying a high long-term growth potential. Countries that are present in stage 3 are Panama, Mexico, Colombia, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Turkey, and Pakistan. The point to remember is that Pakistan is also in stage 3. Coming to stage 4, this is also called late transitional stage. It occurs when birth and death rates are both low, leading to a total population stability. Death rates are low for a number of reasons, primarily lower rates of diseases and higher production of food. And birth rate is low because family planning being widely used, improvements in contraception, or women gaining more independence and work opportunities. The countries that are in stage 4 are USA, UK, Japan, Bahrain, Indonesia, Malaysia, Maldives. Now, stage 5, it is also called post-transitional, and in this stage, more deaths are occurring than births, and population growth rate is negative. Developed countries in Europe and elsewhere have completed 4 stages of the demographic transition. Now, this is the graph that is showing all the 5 stages of demographic transition. And in stage 1, we can say that there is high birth rate and death rate, but natural increase is stable or just low. Then comes second stage, in which there is high birth rate, but death rate is falling rapidly, leading to a rapid increase in there is rapid natural increase, and here we can see the population explosion. And in stage 3, then birth rate also starts falling, and while death rate starts falling more slowly. And in the natural increase, there is slow natural increase. Then comes the stage 4, in which both birth rate and death rates are low, resulting in stable or slow increase. And the countries we have already discussed that the most developed countries, USA, Japan, France, UK, are present in stage 4. Then comes stage 5, in which there is very low birth rate and death rate is also low, and there is decrease in population. Now, these are the population pyramids that are associated with different stages of demographic transition model. First is stage 1. In this, you can see that there is wide base because of extremely higher birth rate, and infants and child mortality rates are high. So sides of pyramid curves in very quickly, and life expectancy is reduced, resulting into the narrow apex, and we can see that this pyramid is shortest of all pyramids. Then comes stage 2. In this, there is sides are less concave as death rates drops, with few more elderly people in population, as we can see here, and base is little narrower than stage 1. And the pyramid of stage 3, it shows a narrow base and because of decreased birth rate, uh, and straighter sides, or the sides of the pyramids are now straighter, and health improvement, as we have already discussed, allows more people to live in old age. Then comes up the pyramid of stage 4, in which there are straighter sides due to steady low birth rate, while increased life expectancy shows more people living in their 60s and 70s. And then come the pyramid of stage 5, in which middle-aged generations are much larger than those of children because of decreased death rate, and there is increased proportion of population living in elderly group. Now, points to be noted while describing transition, that is the DTM model, that is demographic transition model, excludes the effect of migration. And the transition took a long time. The transition occurred without any interference, and the model cannot be applied to all countries. And the law, the transition occurred when there was a widespread use of family planning measures. Epidemiologic transition. Epidemiologic transition describes changing patterns of population distributions in relation to changing patterns of mortality, fertility, life expectancy, and leading causes of death. There are two main components of this transition. First is changes in population growth trajectories and composition, especially in the age distribution from younger to older. And the second is changes in patterns of mortality, including increasing life expectancy and reordering of the relative importance of different causes of death. There are three stages of demographic transition. In first stage, it is also called age of pestilence and famine, when mortality is high and fluctuating, thus precluding sustained population growth. In this stage, the average life expectancy at birth is low and variable, oscillating between 20 and 40 years. Then comes the stage 2, which is also called age of receding pandemics, when mortality declines progressively and the rate of decline accelerates as epidemic peaks become less frequent or disappear. The average life expectancy at birth increases steadily from about 30 to about 50 years, and population growth is sustained and begins to describe an exponential curve. And this also corresponds to the stage 2 of the DTM model. Then comes the stage 3. This is also called age of degenerative and man-made disease, when mortality continues to decline and eventually approaches stability at a relatively low level. The average life expectancy at birth rises gradually until it exceeds 50 years. It is during this stage that fertility becomes the crucial factor in population growth. Now, models of demographic transition. Omran has described three models of the epidemiologic transition. First is classic or Western model. It involves the gradual fall in Western mortality over the past 200 years, from high death rates of 30 per thousand to less than 10. This decline was due to modernization, including better living conditions and improved sanitation. Then comes the second model, that is accelerated model, and this was mainly seen in countries like Japan, where the rapid fall in mortality was due to advancement in medicine as well as change in societal values, economic growth, and environmental improvements. Then comes the delayed model. It is seen mainly in developing countries where all the mortality rates have fallen but have not reached the levels of developed countries. In these countries, mass eradication campaigns and the use of modern antibiotics have contributed in lowering mortality. Now, coming to the updates. This is an article that was published just last year on a population giant falling behind in its demographic transition. And according to it, Pakistan's last census revealed faster than expected population increases. High fertility continues to drive substantial population growth in the world's fifth most populated country. And the census that was done in 2017 revealed 208 million inhabitants, which translates into an annual population growth rate of 2.4% since the previous census of 1998. And the country has experienced a slower demographic transition than most of its neighbors in Asia. And Pakistan's total fertility rate is higher at 3.6 children per woman in 2017 and is falling more slowly. And according to it, it has been in the third stage of demographic transition, whereby birth rates have fallen as a result of contraceptive awareness, wage increases, and urbanization, but not made headway in further reducing fertility rates to reach stage 4, where birth rates are equal to death rates. Now, coming to multiple choice questions. First is Pakistan is in third stage of demographic transition model. Now, what is the interpretation of this statement? First is birth rate and death rates are high and stationary. Birth rate continue to be high, but death rates have declined from previous values. Birth rates have started declining, but still higher than death rates, which have declined further. And fourth is birth rates have declined more than the death rates of the population.
C.
The right answer is C. That is, birth rates have started declining, but still not high, but still higher than the death rates. Now, second MCQ, the graph. This graph shows the change in size of our fish population over a period of time. The dashed line on the graph represents a carrying capacity of the environment, lifespan of the species, level at which extinction is reached, and levels of maximum biodiversity of species.
A.
Alpha.
A.
Yes, carrying capacity, as it is the maximum potential of the environment that can sustain the population. Uh, Third MCQ, students conducting a study on insect population placed 25 insects of the same size in a box. The amount of food, water, and shelter available to the insects was kept constant. Each month, students removed and counted the number of insects present, recorded the total, and returned the insects to the box. The graph below shows the number of insects in the box over a 12-month period. What interference can be made regarding this insect population? All the insects in the population are of same age. The insects hibernated from January to April. The population has got into extinction. The population reached carrying capacity by January.
D.
D.
It is easily seen in the graph that from January the population growth has sustained and reached the maximum capacity. MCQ number 4. The dotted line on the graph below represents the potential size of a population based on its reproductive capacity. The solid line on this graph represents the actual size of the population. Which statement best explains why the actual population growth is less than the potential population growth? Resources in the environment are limited, more organisms migrated into population than out of population, birth rate gradually became greater than the death rate, and the final population size is greater than the carrying capacity.
Delta.
A.
Right answer is A. Resources in the environment are limited, as we have already discussed environmental resistance. That is, it is one of the factors that decreases the population size and it keeps the population stable, and this straight line is due to this environmental resistance and limited resources in the environment. Now MCQ number 5. Calculate future population of a rural community in 2022 whose current population in 2020 is 200 with growth rate of 2% annually. Any guess? It needs a little calculation. Okay.
C.
Um, right answer is D. How it is that this equation is used in this scenario, and there is a two, as we have seen that in 2020 current population is 200, that is PT1 is 200, and we want to calculate the future population of 2020, so the T is 2 years, while the growth rate is 2%, that is 2, and putting the values in the equation we would get 1800. So the population we would achieve in 2022 is 1800. D is the right answer. MCQ number 6. In one of the remote areas of Africa, children under 5 years of age are suffering from recurrent infectious diseases due to poor hygiene practices and non-availability of vaccination services in that area, leading to high mortality rate of that age group. Also, there is increased birth rate due to lack of awareness about family planning practices. In which stage of the transition model this area is most likely to be? Pre-transition, early transition, mid-transition, late transition?
Early
A.
transition.
A, pre-transition. In pre-transition, as we have already discussed, that there is increased birth rates and death rates, and under 5 year of children under 5 years of age, they are more affected, and so it is the pre-transition stage. That is stage 1 of the transition model. MCQ number 7. In Egypt, the death rate is rapidly declining due to improved medical care, food supply, and sanitation, leading to reduction in child mortality rate and increase in young population. Which of the following population pyramid corresponds to this stage of transition model? This is A, this is B, this is C, and D.
C.
This is A is the right answer. This is the pyramid that corresponds to the stage 1. So the scenario is showing of stage 1 of the transition model. So A is the right answer. 8. In what 3 stages of the demographic transition model does the total population grow slowly or decrease? It is also clearly seen in this graph, and we have discussed in our presentation. Any guess? Net population increase is stable in what stages? The right answer is D, that is 1, 4, and 5. This is stage 1, this is 4 and 5. It is easily clearly shown in the graph. MCQ number 9. In a community A, the baseline population is 2000. 80 live births occurred in the year, and there were 50 deaths in that community, and 1000 people in that community suffered from diseases that cause morbidity. No migration took place during the time period. Calculate the population of community A. 1930. B is 2030, 2080, or 2130.
B.
Let's see the right answer. Yes, you are right. B is the right answer, because we will not there is no role of people who are suffering from any morbidity. That is 1000 people. It has no role in this scenario, and we will use this equation for our scenario, and the answer we'll get is 2030. Last MCQ, a researcher is interested to know about the population dynamics of different countries. The population explosion is seen in which stage of the transition in the countries? Pre-transitional, early transitional, late transitional, mid-transitional?
Late transitional.
Early transitional, stage 2. In stage 2, we discussed that we have seen the population explosion because of decreased mortality rates, abrupt fall in the death rate. This is the key of my MCQs. Here are the references. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Meha. Very nice presentation, especially what you have shown in graphs, models. That was excellent. And the examples that have you given for each stage of transition, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, with reference to the countries and their population, that is again something that is commendable. The most important thing that is highlighted is the checking of the concepts again and again while you were presenting MCQs. And your MCQs were really wonderful, especially your MCQ number 5 and then 8 and 9. They were one of the excellent MCQs that I have ever seen. And mm, I must say that this is one of a very good presentation, a very good presentation style, as well as the MCQs. Moreover, I would request each and every student who have presented their MCQs daily in demography, please send your MCQs to Dr. Amber, right? Because in the end of this demography session, I would like you all to give the assessments based on the similar MCQs, right? Thank you very much and well done. If you have any question, you are most welcome to ask here, please. Uh, in the chat box, Dr. Meha, would you please like to repeat slide number 33? Dr. Mavish has requested you to please repeat the slide number 33. Yes, this is the slide. It is present in the textbook of Community Medicine and Public Health. And this slide that has been published by Paramount, this is the graph. Dr. Meha, would you like to explain it again?
Okay, ma'am. In this graph, 5 stages of demographic transition, population transition is shown. In first stage, it is usually seen in very remote areas, while other countries have already are in stage 2, 3, and 4. So in stage 1, there is high birth rate and death rate. Both are very high, but the natural increase is stable or slow because both are balancing each other. Then comes the stage 2, which is early transitional, in which the death rate has started falling very rapidly, while the birth rate is not falling with that pace, leading to the increase in population growth. So here we can see very rapid increase, natural increase, that is population, there is population explosion in stage 2. While in stage 3, birth rate also starts falling, while death rate is falling more rapidly. Again, there is increase there is natural increase, and then comes the stage 4, in which both birth rate and death rate both are lowering, and this is seen in the developed countries, that is USA, UK, and there is stable or slow increase in population growth, and it is due to the family planning, good health, improved status of women. And then comes the stage 5, in which birth rate is very low while death rate is just low. So the natural increase is in negative, that is negative population growth. And example of this, that in Germany this stage is seen. So these are the 5 stages, and here are the reasons given for these stages. Like these are the reasons for increase in changes in birth rate. That is, in stage 1 and 2 there is increased birth rate due to the poor access to family planning services, while in stage 3 we have seen that there is birth rate has started falling because improved medical care and diet. So and these are the reasons for changes in.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meha. As we have a very little time left, so there is another question about the India. As this graph has been taken from the textbook, and we know that the textbooks, they have the evidence at the time when they were published. Recently, India is in stage 3, as Dr. Hansa has correctly said, that India is in the third phase because the fertility rates have been declined significantly, and it is just a recent advancement because we know that they have given a very good program of family planning to their populations, as well as they are having lot of people who have not reached the population stabilizing or the replacement levels yet, and still there are 2.1 children per woman. So India is in stage 3. I hope all the questions have been addressed here. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. So Pakistan and India both are in stage 3. Thank you very much, Dr. Khansa. You are very much right. And thank you, Dr. Mavish, for asking these questions. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.